All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Jesus Christ. All right, here's the thing. Being 40, 41 years old, I'm just wondering, you know, where's all this racial discrimination that Jasmine Crockett is always talking about? And I'm being serious. I think people of a certain age have more of a case, but yet again, I didn't have to go through what my grandparents went through. And I know Miss Crockett didn't have to either. Respectively, we're millennials. We're 80s kids, right? She's in her 40s. I'm in, okay. Like I get it. But I'm just wondering, what purpose is this actually serving today in the community? What is it that we currently cannot do that our grandparents couldn't, right? I mean, it doesn't seem to be holding up. And I think part of the other issue is when you're like this, you tend to view absolutely everything through the lens of some kind of fucking racism or some stupid shit. I mean, for instance, I had a phone call with somebody today, just today, right? And somehow it was, and this is a professional setting, talking about how sometimes doctors might not look at you the same and things like this. And I'm like, uh, I get that, but there's also a difference too because you got to look at it a couple different ways. There's people when you go to these places, let's say you're just in a general doctor's office, the people who have insurance are going to be viewed at probably as somebody who's going to pay versus somebody who does not have any kind of insurance who still just needs treatment, right? And I get it. You're supposed to treat everybody fair, but you're also giving somebody potentially $400 to $800 of free care. Like people don't get it. Even being in the medical field, everything is still a business, right? Everything is still a business. These people don't just get to write things off. They do, but it's within limits. And once again, when you don't understand the business model, this is exactly how people feel like, oh man, you know what? We should have free healthcare. And I agree. I really think that we should, but it's all about how it's going to be implemented, right? It's about how it's going to be executed. You can't just have free shit just because, right? I mean, look no further than Chicago. That is a city being ran into the ground over the last two mayors who just so happen to be black. One was a gay black woman who ran that motherfucker into the ground. And then guess what? Now you got Mayor Mohawk with his struggling, whatever. He got the struggle south of France. All right. The struggle version of the South of France. You can't make this shit up. And he always is up there. Excuse me. Yes. When you address my wife, call her First Lady of Chicago. Okay. This is what these people, these are the issues to these people. But still, going back to it, if you're always constantly looking at things through the eyes of some kind of oppression, some kind of this, I I just don't know how that works. I mean, if when you bring it all the way back to just things that are very easy concepts, right? Because everybody likes to be free with somebody else's money, but not with yours. So the prime example is this: you're in the grocery store, whatever, blah, blah, blah. The person in front of you might be $20, $30 short. So Does the cashier let that person roll with the roll those goods and then, hey, by the way, you know what, we're going to tack that extra 30 onto you, so on and so forth. That's not how it works, but that's what in America you're expected to do. And it doesn't make sense. I don't know how these things were allowed to happen. I don't know what happens to people, but honestly, I think it's the people that you hang out with, the people that you're socialized around, and the people. It's a whole community thing. It's a virus in certain places. It's always this. It's always that. Like sometimes I always try to err on the side of maybe somebody's just an asshole for the day, right? And getting back to this whole medical office thing, I mean, I listened to this person tell me, man, they just felt this and they just felt that. You had all these questions and all these concerns, but you didn't raise them at the time, right? And that's the thing too. Like, look, sometimes everybody, look, knowledge is power. And in this culture, we value being woefully ignorant. And I think part of the reason is because it eliminates accountability. Because you can just fall back with, oh man, I ain't know that shit. Well, you should have known that shit because you understand how much an AMG is. You know that the AMG version is better than just a regular Mercedes. See, niggas understand what you want to understand. And this is true of anybody, right? So, why is it that you understand certain things, but you don't others? And that's the whole thing. Like, there's a lot of things that are going on, but the one thing that you never want to do is you don't want to have somebody else who has more information make life altering decisions because you choose not to, right? And it still goes to the people that you look and that you trust. People trust their politicians, people trust their doctors, people trust law, lawyers, law enforcement, things like that. But at the same time, you don't know how these things work. And that is where I think people are really, really deficient. So, what good is having some knowledge of something, right? If you're not going to implement it throughout the rest of your life, always seek knowledge and understanding first before we just go ahead and, I really can't believe how some people are sometimes. Like it can't always be about race and how some of these people and some of these doctors and this and that. Because I'm like, yo, if that's the case, why the fuck did you accept the treatment? I, I'm just saying, right?